Hey man, how you doing? How's things? How's life?
Yeah, good. Very good. It's nice being a bit busy since lockdowns happened. Yeah, it's good to get back into the swing of things, I guess.
When did you first kind of start getting back into things and getting into routine again and getting stuff done?
I think like July, I started working with this new artist called Baby Queen, who's not with like Polydor. I've started doing a lot of work with her. So yeah, since like July, like kind of even it's like the end of lockdown. I was quite lucky to get straight into like having a job with her and like kind of just doing lots of content and cool stuff with her, which has been really fun. And she's great. She's a really cool artist.
Are shoots and stuff back on now?
Yeah. Done like two music videos. I've done an album cover, well, EP cover shoots, and yeah, so it's kind of like really coming back to it, which is quite nice.
Is it a different vibe on sets? Is it kind of the same as it was before?
Yeah, it is. It is quite different. I mean, I think like there's a lot of COVID rules and stuff, which is good, I think it's a lot. I think you think about it a lot more in terms of like what you're trying to do and how many people you can have on set and stuff, which is a bit challenging. But I think there's a lot of rules in place where everyone has wearing masks and stuff. But yeah, it's a bit different, slightly different.
I mean, I guess if you have those slight limitations, like you're saying, where you maybe have to have, slightly less people on set, when it does come back to being what it was before, you could maybe have learned a few things that kind of carry over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What sort of stuff has it kind of shifted your perspective on it a wee bit? Have you learned anything from it so far?
I think so. I mean, like, I think it was just like, I wouldn't say I'm like changing my style of content or like my style of making films or photography because of it. But I think it was just a good step back, I guess, to like reassess work and I want to be doing and stuff. And I think that was like the big positive of it. Obviously, it's a big global pandemic and it's very hectic. But I think the positives were it was just nice to like step back and kind of reassess where I'm at and stuff.
Yeah. Did part of that come from lockdown as well?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like obviously doing nothing for 4 months or whatever it was. I guess like I wrote a few short films in lockdown and like I think I just like really came to grips with exactly what I want to be doing. Like the kind of style I want to be doing, and I guess I did have gave me quite a few ideas for new projects and what I would like things I want to shoot and stuff, which is cool.
How does like expressing yourself through short film kind of differ to music videos? Is it quite a different means of expression?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think like music videos is a great platform to create like ideas you've had, like crazy ideas. But I think like the short film aspect is specifically for me at least. I want to do like more narrative stuff. So I think like it's a good way to like approach that, like dialogue and a bit more serious kind of stuff. Where I think like music videos, you can just be as wild as you want. You can like just come up with a crazy idea and then someone wants to do it, which is also what's so great about music videos.
Especially your stuff has a real kind of dreamlike edge to a lot of it. The imagery is very kind of vivid, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that something that carries into the short films as well, or are they a bit more autobiographical, a bit more personal?
I think yeah, they're a bit more personal, but I think like I mean my style is still the same. Like it's still quite moody and like has a bit of like a narrative dreamlike edge. But in the short film world, yeah, well, I haven't really done like loads of short films. I've just written a few in lockdown, but I want to do a lot more dialogue stuff. Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to videos as well, you mentioned a narrative there. Do you feel like narrative or emotions kind of more important in it and what you're trying to showcase and what you're trying to get across? Because your videos, they kind of come with both.
Yeah, exactly. I think like it all depends on the song and stuff. Like I did a video for the Japanese House a few years ago, and that was very much about the narrative and about her coming to terms with a girl that she used to see and just coming to terms with like not having a relationship with her anymore. And that's what we kind of did with the visuals. Whereas I did a video recently for Foals where that was more just like we just wanted to express the emotion of listening to the song. Was there was no specific narrative. It was just expressing emotion, and so it depends really on the song and what the artist wants to achieve with the video.
Yeah, I mean, both of those videos that you just mentioned really capture the emotion of the kind of moment of the song, although they're kind of quite
Yeah,
different and contrasting.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, the Japanese house one as well, like within the first kind of four shots, you completely establish what that video is going to be, but it also has a really powerful final shot. Is the first
Yeah,
is the first or last shot what's kind of more important to you in a video, and what do you think is more important?
I'm not sure. I feel like the first shot is very important, obviously, because you're captivating your audience straight away. You want to make sure they don't turn it off, you know, which is like always a thing, you know. People get over it, like watching something. As a society, we've kind of fucked up a little bit of like not having a good attention span. But I think the first shot obviously is very key. I mean, that false video, it was like that stormy sea, and the Japanese house one was the fire. But then again, the final shot is quite a good. It's very important in the same way as like you concluding your film. You know, you're concluding what you're trying to say. I'm trying to think what the false final shot was. I remember.
It's the guy, isn't it? He's on the floor after the water's kind of stopped draining off of him.
Ah, yes, that's it. Yeah, yeah. The smoke's coming off him. Yeah, you know better than I do. Just yeah, funny.
With that Japanese house one as well, I mean, it's such a personal video. Like you were saying, you were speaking about the kind of context to it. Do you approach it in a different way as a result of that? Because it is so, personally tied to it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, with that video, me and Amber, the Japanese house, we spoke a lot about what she wants to say in the video, and it was quite interesting because the other girl in the film, Marika Hackman, the song was actually about her as well. So it was quite funny. They used to go out, and it was amazing that Marika wanted to be involved, and they're still very good friends, obviously. But yeah, it was fun to get involved in like what Amber wanted to say, and like it was a really good collaboration. And it was fun to like express that, express exactly what she's feeling.
How long will you spend like sharing conversations and speaking with an artist before you make the video? How long are you kind of chatting for and discussing the ideas?
I mean, depends on the artist. Like quite a lot normally. I mean, with the Foals one, I'm quite good friends with Yanis and the Foals guys. So that was a long conversation. And obviously because it's such a long song, it was a 10-minute song, that was a really long conversation about what exactly we wanted to achieve and how best to go about it. And same with the Japanese house one, me and Amber spoke a lot about exactly what shots we wanted and what exactly we want to showcase. Whereas other videos are quite different. I've shot some music videos where it's very brief chat with the artist and they just trust my vision and we just make it, which is amazing. But I don't mind either, to be honest. I do actually love getting really involved with the artist and trying to get out exactly what's in their head,
I mean, how does your relationship with someone change then, like an artist, as you're making a video with them, as the process kind of goes on? What's your relationship like at the beginning compared to the end?
Yeah, it changes a lot, I guess. Like, I didn't know Amber before we made that video. And then it was such a personal video, so we got on super well and it was really great. And the same as like, I did a video for the Ninth Wave. I didn't know them much before. Well, I shot like a small photo shoot with them, but then we got on really well. A lot of it is, just your relationship with them. I think that's super important, and making something of their personal work, so you start to get on really well. I mean, I've heard of directors hating on the artists afterwards and the artists hating the directors, but everyone I've done has gone well. So
I guess there can be a bit of tension sometimes when you're in that kind of creative relationship, because it's both so important to both of you.
Yeah, exactly. And one person doesn't want to give up of one thing, the director wants to do one thing and the artist wants to do it that way. And I've seen that happen before, but I'm quite an easygoing guy, so I'm like quite open to ideas, even on set. Like if someone wants, like, let's try this, and I'm like, yeah, why not? That sounds good. It depends on the idea, obviously, but
I mean, if it doesn't work, though, you can always just, you don't need.
Yeah, just edit it. Exactly.
How does it differ? I know you were saying that you've known the Foals guys for a while. I know you know the Gengahr guys reasonably well too. How does it differ when you're going into working on a collaboration with someone that you've known for a few years? How does that communication kind of differ in that process?
It's very different, actually. Like the same with Gengahr, I've been friends with them for a while before I did that video, those two videos. I think I actually prefer it because you know them so much better. And same with the Foals, like I've known them for quite a while. I think I just love like that collaboration because you've known them for a while. You kind of know who they are and what their music and their project's about. And also like what they like as well. You already know that, you know, like it's really, I love working with friends because I feel like the collaboration process is so much easier. Not that I'm saying like working with a new artist is bad. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying I find it more fun, I think, just because it's your mates as well, you know?
Yeah, I guess you know their personality a little bit better too, and you can kind of incorporate that into the video.
Exactly, yeah.
How does that affect the way you are on set? Are you slightly different on set if it's people that you're more familiar with, or are you the same the whole way through?
It makes it so much easier, yeah. So everything's a lot more chilled, you know? I feel like sometimes when you work with new artists or something and you feel quite, not uneasy, but, you know, you're just making sure they're okay the whole time. Whereas if it's your friend, you know they're fine. They're like, you know what I mean? There's not that thing in the back of your head where you have to like make sure they're okay, which is quite nice.
I guess that trust is already built up as well. That someone's kind
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, with the Gengahr videos as well, how did you approach that, knowing that you were gonna have? You also had the 2 videos, and you had the album cover as well. You kind of had these various ways to tell the story, and it was all kind of connecting. How did that affect the way that you looked at each individual piece of the puzzle as you were putting it together?
Yeah, quite a bit. I think with that project, that was really, really fun to do. Me and Felix spoke so much about what each song was about, and the whole story was kind of based off the Odyssey and this Greek mythology. And it was quite nice that those 2 videos kind of linked up. You know, it was kind of one followed on the other, which was really fun to make. And then like the album cover was kind of an overview of that in a way, you know, which was really nice. It was fun to create the whole piece, you know, but then like, yeah, like you said, each piece is kind of told its own story, but part of the whole story, which was really, really cool. And it was fun to do like a follow-on video, which I've not really done before.
Were you familiar with, you know, you said that it was kind of based off Home of the Odyssey and stuff. Were you familiar with that before you went in and made the video? Were you?
I actually wasn't. If Felix is listening to this, he'll probably be like, what? No, I wasn't actually that familiar with it. But then obviously when Felix was telling me about it, I did my research, you know, and then got quite into it. But yeah, it was really fun to get into that and kind of tell this very abstract story of that myth, Greek myth.
It's a very kind of stylized interpretation of it.
Yeah, very, very abstract interpretation, but it's cool. It was really fun.
That was shot on film as well, right?
Yeah, that was shot on 16mm, yeah. Over 2 days, we shot those 2 videos in the middle of Germany and Berlin.
Was that the first time? Had you worked on film before?
I have, yeah. I've worked on film a few times. I've got a few little projects that haven't been released that are all on film. Just haven't made time for them yet. But yeah, it was the first release stuff that I've done on film. But yeah, it's great. It's the best. It's the best medium, I think.
Why?
Why? It's just, I don't know, man. It's just everything looks better, and like, I don't know, I just feel like you care so much more. And like when you're shooting, you like really like make sure the scene is like perfect, rather than like, oh, let's just get something extra. Let's get this. Let's go. You know what I mean? It's like you really, I feel like when I'm shooting on film, I'm much more focused exactly what we're getting and if it's right. You know what I mean? And if it's like not quite right, I'll stop it immediately and then redo it, rather than if it's not quite right on digital, you kind of just let it go. You know, let's just see how it plays out. But also it just looks great.
Did you rehearse a lot?
For that film, not really. I think the Heavenly Maybe one, we rehearsed a bit because there's like a little club scene. But other than that, no, not too much, because it was quite like, yeah, it's not massive like dialogue or anything like that. So yeah, I don't think it was necessary to rehearse too much.
I mean, in terms of your direction on that as well, the actors in it feel, it's almost kind of slightly primal in a weird kind of way. Like it's a very kind of natural, well, like the rhythm they move within that. How did you kind of get that across to them? Was it kind of letting them do what felt natural to them? Was it very directed? How did that?
Yeah. I mean, Pierre, the main character in it, he's an unbelievable dancer. So yeah, we kind of, when we casted him, we realized that how good he moves and stuff. So I just kind of let him do his thing, really, to be honest with you. It turned out amazing, and was very happy with, yeah, it was great. And that's a great thing when you like work with people that are like really talented at that kind of thing. I don't really know too much about dancing, so you kind of just like, oh, I'm sure, let's just see what he does. You know what I mean? And that's like before, I guess, like in the club scene, kind of just, let's see okay, yeah, that looks amazing. Let's just shoot it, you know?
Sometimes surprises can be the nicest thing on set, though, when you don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
It just comes out of nowhere.
Exactly, yeah. That's like, even though I just said on film, like you have to like really make sure you know what you're doing, but sometimes you're like, let's like see what happens.
I think in that club scene as well, or particularly in the Everything and More video as well, the kind of richness of the texture of the film really contributes to it. And
Mm.
I mean, the color palette of those videos as
Mm.
well. What sort of stuff are you referencing for that? Because it's so bright with such like rich textures. It's wonderful. I really like it.
Oh, thank you. I don't know, actually. Weirdly, like, I reference a lot of Stanley Kubrick stuff, but
It is a little bit 2001 actually when you think of the reds in that.
yeah. Yeah, we also had a great colorist, Joseph Bicknell, from New York, who color graded it, and he did an amazing job to like really bring out all those colors. Yeah,
What's your favorite Kubrick film then?
probably 2001, I guess. I think.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah,
it's a trip.
yeah. It's a class film. Yeah,
I saw it in the cinema a couple of years back when it came out for that 50th anniversary thing, and just seeing that on the big screen, just the impact of it.
yeah.
It's pretty
Amazing,
pretty
isn't it?
sensational stuff.
I do actually really like Eyes Wide Shut, though. Weirdly, it's even though like, I mean, obviously like Clockwork Orange is amazing too, but I don't know, there's something about that, like especially when Tom Cruise goes to that weird house party place. It's like so obscure and fucked. I love it.
Are you a fan of what's the Barry Lyndon? Do you ever get into that as well?
Oh yeah, yeah. I do like that, but it's probably not one of my. It's not my favorite one. Yeah,
Nah, just incredible because it was like all shot in natural light, wasn't it?
I know. Yeah, insane. Kubrick is insane.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever like shot a video like in complete, natural light?
Yeah. I've done a few. Yeah.
Does it bring with it different challenges? How do you kind of approach something like that when?
Most of the time, those are the more low budget films because we can't afford lights. It's I guess you just like have to make all the scenes outside, really. But I don't know. Sometimes even like when we're shooting like bigger productions, you like go to a like location or like say if you're in a bedroom or something and you just sitting there with the DP and you're like, actually, it looks great just without lights. This looks fantastic. I love natural light. I'm a very like pro to shoot it outside kind of guy.
I guess it comes back again to like the surprise you get with the movement. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Speaking about Gengahr, you shot the cover for that as well, that we mentioned. How does your approach to telling a story or communicating an idea with a photograph differ to doing so with a music video?
Yeah, quite a lot, I think. Because it's a single image, you kind of have to tell a whole story. And whereas a video, you can kind of do lots of small things and which give you a narrative. Whereas that, for instance, that album cover, which is one of my favorite album covers I've ever done, that is, yeah, it kind of just gives that perception of like an adventure, and which is really, I think it is quite different because you have to make that one shot tell everything. I love album covers, man. So fun to do.
There's something very mythical about that cover as well. Like, it just completely ties into the whole Odyssey thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What came to you first then? Was it directing or photography? What was the one you gravitated to originally?
I studied film in Cape Town, but when I was studying, I started just taking loads of photos of just like everything, and then like that actually started taking off a lot quicker than my film because I was kind of still studying and still trying to get my name out there. I was actually a DOP at first for like 2 years after, and then I decided to become a director. But yeah, so I think photography came first because it was the easiest to do by yourself, whereas like to make a film, you have to have like so many more people. But then, yeah, directing kind of just took over, and yeah.
What you were saying there about how you started taking quite a lot of photographs when you were in Cape Town. When you're just going about now, do you think you take more or less photographs than you used to?
100% way less photos. Yeah, I remember I used to go out every single day and just go take loads of photos of like life, or like meet up with friends and just take loads of photos with each other and of each other in like cool, really sick locations. But now like life and being much more of an adult, I do way less of that. But I do miss like just going out and shooting, just like for the natural fun of it. Whereas now I think I just do it for work, which is I should probably shoot more.
Do you think do you learn more when you're in that natural environment or when you're working?
It depends really. I think natural environment, I mean, I'd still obviously take loads of photos for myself, but I think that is when you learn the most. Although if you're on set and you're like put in a situation where you kind of a bit like unsure, I think that's when you learn so much, when you kind of like something went wrong or something and you're like, okay, how do I figure this out? I think that's the best learning thing.
It's that added pressure. It's a little bit of self-doubt as well that can kind of just push into.
Oh yeah, big time self doubt. What am I doing? Am I doing this right? I don't know. I hope so. And you just got like 5 label execs behind you, and you're like, okay. It happens all the time.
Can you ever show self-doubt when you're directing a video, or do you have to? You kind of have to try and
Yeah, you
mask it.
can't. Yeah, you have to mask it 100%. I think like even now, I think music videos is more chilled, but like if I'm doing a commercial, even now, I think I'll be on set, be like, am I doing this? Is this right? But you can never show that. Yeah, you can't ever show that. But I think it's good. I think everyone has self-doubt. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but learning how to like just tell yourself off, I guess. No, I am doing it right. You know what I mean?
And there's something good about putting yourself in a situation that makes you slightly uncertain and then forcing yourself to kind of figure a way out of it.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's really important.
When it comes to commercials as well, what is it that's adding the pressure there? Is it just the fact there's a wee bit more money kind of floating about? Is a wee bit more pressure? What is it that's...
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, there's just like so much money, and then like way more like advertising agency and client on set, and I think that's just like the pressure of it all, you know?
Does it feel a lot more business-like?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, but I mean, I think like all the commercials I've done have been really fun, and like they've been like a joy to do, and also not too far from my style. So it's always been a laugh. Whereas like I know some friends that actually I have done like 1 or 2 small jobs that have been like, I don't know what this is, but I'm doing it. Why not? You know?
When you're working on a commercial, what's the support network like? Is it a bigger crew or?
Yeah, big time. Yeah, it's like because there's more money involved, so and a lot more expectations. I think you know, and like you have to please so many more people. Whereas I think in a music video, like if you're doing the video, I think they've bought into you fully. You know, whereas if you're making a commercial, you're buying into the brand in a way. You know, you have to kind of make it the brand kind of still look the same in a way or whatever. Whereas in a music video, it's a lot more chilled. So yeah, on set on a commercial, there's so many more people, so many more little things, and it's a bit chaotic to be honest. It's great though. I do enjoy them. It's a good change of pace because you just get to play with loads more toys, I guess.
Yeah, it's good to do something a little bit different, push yourself in different
Yeah,
directions.
exactly. Yeah.
So you mentioned that the brand in there, and you kind of have to have it stay in that similar vein. Do you look quite close at the brand then when you work on something? Like you've done, what have you done, like CR7, Guinness, Bose, you've done them?
Yeah, yeah. I've done a few more that's not on my website as well. But yeah, it is true. Yeah, you have to like really see what the brand is saying and then kind of go with your style into that, which is really fun to do because you kind of like get their narrative and then, all right, let me tell it in my way, which is really fun.
Does it increase like your understanding of your own style as well then? If you've got to try and integrate it into something else? Or does it affect that, the way you think about it in any way?
No, I don't think so. I think your style is like as it is. So I think you just kind of, it's just fun to kind of just story. I think that's just like the fun element. I don't think it really like changes my perspective on my style really. It's more about like just the fun and incorporating it into a brand or something, you know?
When did you kind of first feel like you got a grasp on your style then? Or you first kind of started to realize what it was and what you liked and what you wanted to do?
I don't really think I have a grasp on it. No, I'm kidding. I don't know. I think quite early on, to be honest, I kind of realized what I liked and how to go about it. Yeah, probably like, yeah, really early on. But I mean, I think my style's changing a lot. I mean, from like that CR7 video or like the Pose film to then Foals and then the Japanese House. They're very different films. And even this Baby Queen one I just shot, Medicine, they're all quite different, but I think my style's slowly like changing into, I don't know, something a bit more mature or like less. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know where it's going, to be honest.
Again, though, that's part of the fun of it, isn't it? Just seeing
Yeah,
where
exactly.
it takes you.
Yeah. And like, for instance, that Japanese House film was like the first film I've done in that kind of slow style, you know, slow paced thing. And that's what I pitched to them and they really went for it. And I was like, after that, that's why I think the Foals film is quite similar in that way. It's like this slow paced poetic piece, which is, yeah, like very different to the Bose thing. But it was fun to like go into that and fully invest in that way of making something whereas I'm used to quite like handheld, quite like cinema, like super cinematic stylized, but yeah, it was fun to change of pace really.
It's almost like with those two videos, the one with the Japanese house and the one with Foals, that you could watch them with the sound off. Like they're so kind of visually, narratively structured from shot to shot. How does that then carry on if you're working on a short film? Does it kind of teach you things about that?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I think like just that slow paced way of telling a story, really, like you can take that into a short film. I actually wrote this short film recently where it's just this long slow track into this woman having like a panic attack, and that's quite similar in a way to like the Foals thing and Japanese house films where they were these slow paced things. I think like that way of telling a story is really quite emotional, whereas if, for instance, the other films are quite like, yeah, handheldy, like in your face kind of thing, and that's a very different way of telling a story. So that 100% relates to making short films and like taking that into a short film. And if I was doing something super serious, I'd probably shoot it in that slow paced way,
Yeah, it's quite Kubrickian as well.
I mean, that was quite a big reference, yeah.
Who was it was the first filmmaker you fell in love with, and whose films that really captured your?
I'll be honest, probably like Nolan, to be honest, and as lame as that sounds, yeah, probably Christopher Nolan or Scorsese. They're like two of my all-time favorites. But then like I started watching like Kubrick and what's that Russian filmmaker?
Tarkovsky.
Yeah, Tarkovsky, yeah. That guy blew my mind, man. When I watched like Solaris and then The Stalker, that stuff is like, yeah, one of some of the best films of all time,
Heavy films.
Yeah, heavy, but like insane. Like I'm like, that's another way. He's a mad genius,
It's interesting because the shot in the Japanese house video, the burning car. That really reminds me, the shot of the burning house, and is it the mirror?
Yeah, the mirror, yeah. I mean, that was a reference. Yeah. Picking them out, man.
Do you
I love it.
do you ever have? So I mean, do the ideas for shots for a video just come after you know what the story is and know what you're working with, or do you ever walk about and just have an idea for a shot and then kind of note it down and kind of think I'm going to bring that out later when it feels right?
Yeah, I think it differentiates. Like I'll have some ideas when I'm just walking to the shops or something, and then I won't have ideas for ages, and I'll have to listen for something for ages, like the song or something for ages. But then again, like when you're collaborating with an artist, they'll kind of also give you some like, what about this? And then you're like, that's then giving me a separate idea, So it's like, it differentiates so much. You get it in the middle of nowhere, and then you can kind of work on it with someone,
Is there anything you can do to help inspiration come? Like, have you noticed there's things that you can kind of put yourself in an environment for that help to cultivate it, or is it just completely organic and there's no control over it?
I actually like paint quite a bit to like help my inspiration. I have like a little studio in London, and I do like a bit of painting, and I think that really helps me like with my film ideas. Weirdly, I'd be like just painting for hours and hours, and then I kind of like, oh shit, that's cool, but like just have ideas,
What sort of stuff are you painting?
It's like these big like abstract pieces. It's like Cy Twombly meets like Franz Klein.
How does the escape of that differ to the escape of like filmmaking when you're coming up with an idea?
Yeah, really different, I guess. I think like what I love about painting is it's such a solo thing, like I said earlier, like making films or even photography nowadays, you have to have crews and crews, whereas painting is just me by myself. So I think like the inspiration just comes because I'm just enclosed in my own space. For me, it's like such pure art because it's like just you and a canvas, as lame as that sounds. It's really great for your head, my head at least anyway, like to like come up with ideas and just, yeah.
I guess you're completely in control as well. Whereas
yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of things in flux when you're on a set.
Exactly. You can do what you want. And there's also what's nice is because I'm not a known painter, so there's no expectation. When you're making a film, I think there's a lot of expectation of what it is.
When you're on set as well, and things are changing and things are in flux. What's the most like an idea's ever changed? Do ideas tend to change quite a lot from the thing that you're going in with? Yeah. Do they change a lot over the course of that
on
that
set
process? Yeah.
It differentiates. Sometimes like a film is very specific, like the Foals and Japanese house films, they're very specific, whereas something like the Gengahr film was quite like let's just see where we go on set. You know, like some of those locations we just found on the day, you know, and we'd like created a scene or something, you know, which is amazing. And I love doing that. I love just being on the go, on the fly, you know.
Proper
But
guerrilla filmmaking.
yeah, it depends really. It really depends on the project, and like what it's about. Like for the Foals thing, it's quite, you can't really change. You know, it's very shot for shot set up. Whereas yeah, so that was pretty much everything we shot. We knew we were going to get. You know.
I mean, the interesting thing between the the Gengahr video that we're speaking about there and then the Japanese house and the Foals one is that with the Gengahr video the emphasis is very much on the actors, but then with Japanese house and Foals the emphasis is very much upon the musicians. How does
Yeah,
directing
exactly.
how does directing like an artist or a musician differ to directing an actor?
Yeah, it's quite different. I think because you're a bit more wary of if they're okay and stuff. You know, I guess with an actor, it's like they know they do this for a living, right? Whereas I guess an artist, they don't really do videos for a living, so I think it is a bit more tricky. I guess it all just also depends on the artist and how comfortable they are. Like Yanis is so used to shooting films that it was so chilled, you know, when his performance scenes are so chilled. I have worked with artists before where it has been quite tricky, you know, you kind of have to be like, yo, because they're not actors essentially. And if you're trying to get them to act, it's a way more tricky. With actors, it's much easier.
Are actors and musicians quite different people, do you think? Just in terms of the way they think about things like creatively?
I'm not sure. I think a lot of actors are musicians. I mean, a lot of musicians are actors. Like Baby Queen, who I've just done a medicine video with, she's a full-on actor. Like she's so good in front of the camera. It's crazy. Whereas some people are very nervous. I don't think they think differently. No, I think it's the kind of same mindset.
I guess there's maybe a parallel as well, like you're saying that a lot of musicians are actors. When you're on stage, you've kind of got to put on a performance, and sometimes you're gonna have to
Exactly,
play a
yeah.
slight role.
Totally, yeah. I think also a lot of people play roles on stage. You know, people have their personality. Not like that it's that different, but you know what I mean. Like it's a full on, yeah. It's your performance. So it's like Yanis on stage he's like one of the best frontmen. You know, I think in Britain, and he has such a strong stage presence. It's a full on like acting performance. Not really acting, but you know what I mean.
It's like a bulldog on stage.
Yeah, he's a black bull. Yeah.
When Foles came to you to approach you for the Neptune video, what were your initial thoughts when you got asked to make a video for a 10-minute long song that is this kind of grand piece?
Good question. I was like, fuck. I was like, no, but I was so stoked because, like, for me, my favorite song of theirs is Spanish Sahara, and that's like a 7-minute song, and it's kind of in the same ilk of that Neptune is. That's this slow pace, but then like building this epic. You know what I mean? And I think that's exactly what Neptune was when I first heard it. I was like, this is insane. Like, and when they asked me to do it, I was obviously over the moon. I was so keen actually. I was like, okay, how do we make the audience last 10 minutes? You know, that's a long time. It was hectic, but yeah, it was so fun. It was super fun to just try get in that mindset of like making this slow, poetic piece, I guess, like the song is, you know?
Yeah. Was that the most like ambitious video you think you've shot, or?
I think so, only because of, I guess, the length, you know? It's quite a long thing. It's probably my favorite project today. Sorry if the other artists are listening to this.
Did you shoot that the morning after the general election as well?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it's pretty sad.
Man, how did you feel that? Did
Yeah.
that bleed into the atmosphere on set at all? I mean, did that have an effect?
I don't think so. I mean, it was quite a moody day in Margate where we shot it, so I think the atmosphere in general was quite moody and it was quite early. So, so yeah, I think it was. I think the atmosphere was a bit, yeah, hectic, obviously, but
So was that all shot in the one day, or was it you do the outside stuff one day, or?
like 2 days, yeah. Shot all the stuff, the horses and the outside stuff with Yanis in one day, and then we shot the guy in the water and other small things in the previous day, yeah. So it was like a 1.5 day shoot.
How was directing horses? I was going to ask about that because it's the golden rules in it. Don't work with children or animals.
Yeah, it was. I mean, actually, it was all right. We had an amazing team who have the horses. Those horses have been in like Game of Thrones and stuff, so the horses are quite used to, I guess, being told what to do. I mean, by their owners, obviously not me. I wasn't having a conversation with the horse, although that would be a short film in itself. Um, no, it was pretty chill. Like the horse specialists, I don't know what their full title is, but they were insane. They're like, I was like, can the horses just go there to there, and can they do this? And they're like, yeah, cool, cool. I mean, there was a few times where we had to like the horses ran off and stuff, but yeah, it was actually pretty chilled. I thought it was going to be way more hectic than it was. Like weirdly, that dog in the Gengahr film was way more harder to work with than the horses in the Foals film.
How so?
It's just that dog like didn't want to follow our actor around. And we're like, that's the whole point. So we had to like have like dog food in the guy's pocket. So if you see his hands in his pockets in that film, he's just like holding the dog food, so the dog's following him. True story.
Getting a peek behind the curtain.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the only way the dog would follow him. It's like had to have this like dog food in his pocket.
Do you ever take inspiration from dreams as well? I wanted to ask, because a lot of the imagery, and I mean, across your videos, is, like we said before, is incredibly dreamlike and incredibly powerful in that way.
Actually, yeah, good question. That's really, I have quite a lot. Yeah, I've like woken up and I have a little notebook by the side of my bed where I write some of my dreams. Sometimes I don't because their dreams are quite hectic or like weird as fuck. But yeah, I do actually. Some things, not everything obviously, but like I think it's more just like the way I imagined it, so not specifically exactly what the dream was, but like the way I kind of imagined it. And like, so for instance, there's that scene in the Gengahr film where he kind of is like tripping out a bit, and there's like it's kind of overlaid so that it feels like there's two of him in a way. And I think I remember dreaming something like that, whereas I just saw two of something, and then I thought that was quite cool.
When you have an idea like that and that image comes to you, how close does the final one compare? Do you kind of manage to get it pretty close, or is it slightly different?
Yeah, it's quite different. Yeah. I wouldn't say like anything I've ever shot is exactly like a dream, but it's just the way I guess I've felt as well. I think a lot of it is the way I felt too, rather than exactly what's in it, you know?
Yeah, kind of just trying to get the emotion of it across, because you're never going to be able to fully
exactly.
replicate like the image itself.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you know when an image comes to you that it's powerful? How do you kind of get a sense of how powerful it is and how powerful it could be on film?
I don't know. I guess like I think sometimes I like have these like, for instance, that Foals in the Foals film, I had this idea of this fire in the distance and the slow track into it, and I remember thinking that I feel like that would be quite good, and when we did it, it was good. Whereas I feel like sometimes I'm a little bit unsure, and I'm like, let's just see it. Then you shoot and you're like, fuck, this is insane. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the times I don't really know.
How did you shoot the image in that video as well? You know, the guy in the water when it's kind of rushing up.
Oh yeah. So we actually built like this waterfall.
Whoa.
Yeah, in this backyard of this like special effects company's like backlot. It was our idea, me and Yanis, was our idea to like have this waterfall. So we asked them to they kind of specially built this like small little waterfall where it pumps water into this little wooden thing that had like a little slit at the top where it would pour out. Yeah, it was really cool. They like made this small waterfall, which was amazing. But it was like December and they couldn't heat up the water. So my friend, the guy in the video, yeah, it was tough for him, I think. It was like -5 degrees or something.
Ooh.
Shame. He had a little thermal underneath there and a hot shower.
I mean, across not just that video, but a lot of the stuff you've done, water is something that kind of crops up again and again. It's a wee bit of a motif.
Yeah,
it's one of those images that there's just something like kind of cinematic and timeless about it. Are there certain images that you kind of feel are quite inherently cinematic and have a timeless quality?
Yeah. I mean, I think like also fire. I love fire, and that's something I've always loved. Even when I was younger, I like set so much shit on fire. Not like I wasn't an arsonist, but you know what I mean. Just in my back garden, just like I don't know. And then I just like in films, I've always had this obsession with like things burning. Yeah, kind of like I just think it's super cinema, and also water. Yeah, like close-ups of water is beautiful. You know.
I mean, they're kind of opposite ends because water is this kind of constant and fire is this thing that's, you know, rapidly kind of changing. Like they're kind of opposite ends of the spectrum in that way.
Yeah, exactly. I just love elements, man.
What was the biggest challenge you faced in that video as well? The Foals one?
I guess I don't know. I think just doing it all in one day and a half. That was probably the biggest challenge. Yeah, that was great. Everyone came together and like we everything worked super well. I think like actually probably the biggest challenge was that crow. There's that had like a bedtime or something. Like we rented that crow, right, and that had to go to bed in like 15 minutes or something. And I was like, what do you mean the crow has to go to bed? So we had to shoot that shot in like 5 minutes basically. And there was like loads of dogs running around and it was very chaotic. They had like everyone who wasn't doing anything on set or like wasn't holding a camera to like make sure no dogs come in that park basically. It was pretty hectic.
Have you ever worked with digital effects, or is it all practical you usually use?
Yeah. I mean, in that Foals video, that fire is actually digital, and the storm.
Oh man, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I guess.
There was a fire in real life, but we just enhanced it, I guess.
Just make it look a wee bit prettier.
Yeah, just bigger. It was a lot like it didn't want to burn very high, and I really wanted it to be like quite a tall fire. So we, that was digital. I'd love to do the way more like the VFX kind of stuff. I've got a friend who does loads of big VFX kind of commercials, and it's really interested me. So yeah, probably you'll see some in the future. I reckon some more VFX kind of, well, just like things that you kind of don't really notice that are VFX. You know, I quite like that.
Yeah, just the subtle ones where it just kind of like a bit like that fire where it enhances what's there, or just adds things in that you don't really,
Yeah,
kind of tricks you.
yeah.
Shooting that idea I have as well, that being the big challenge. How does being on set affect your perception of time? Did that kind of slip by, or did it feel like it was a long period of time?
No, it's quick. Yeah, I mean, we had great ADs, so they were really on hand with getting the timings. But I mean, on shooting, everything just goes by so quick. Like someone every now and then the AD's like, we've got an hour left, and I'm like, what? We started. But yeah, no, it flies.
Is it ever tough to like taking a moment then? Like if you're doing something like that, that's obviously like a wonderful experience filming a video like that. Is it tough to kind of appreciate it when you're in it if it's just zipping by like that?
No, not really actually. Like I quite like taking photos on set, and I think that's like my like taking a moment to like appreciate what's happening. And I do step back a bit every now and then, and I think then and just be like, wow, this is sick. Especially if you're working with the artist on a music video, just chatting with them. I think that's like just being like, this is cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's important to have those moments to take it in and just kind of appreciate. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. I'm just lucky that I'm doing this, you know?
How do you get your head free after a video then? Like, you're so immersed in it for a while, how do you kind of recalibrate and come back to normality afterwards?
Quite easily. I think I just needed a big sleep. I think because, like, when you're shooting, I think before you have like 2 weeks of crazy prep and like getting everything and like sorted and 100 calls with the label or the agency, you know, and then shooting it, and then it's kind of like a big come down in a way where it's like, oh cool, we're done, and then you have like 2 days off before the editor starts really. So I mean I'm quite chilled getting back into normality. It's pretty fine.
Are you quite present in the editing room as well then? You mentioned that you
yeah, big time. Yeah, I mean not now because of COVID but I'm on Zoom. No, yeah, big time. Like to be very much involved in the edit. Yeah, I think everyone is like that though, to be honest.
Yeah. How many people are in the editing room?
Most of the time, just you and the editor. But then towards the end, then like, yeah, actually just you and the editor and your producer, and then you just send the edits off, I guess, to the artist and make sure they're happy.
How long does it typically take to get something like that turned around and edit a video?
It all depends, really. With this Baby Queen one I just shot, it was like 2 days, 3 days. It was super quick, whereas some things take a bit more time. If there's no like massive deadline when the song needs to come out or something, I think it's quite nice to like take a bit of time. Where the Foals one took a little bit of time. I edited that actually myself, but it wasn't like a real tough edit because it was not that many shots for 10 minutes. But that was nice to like just ease into because it's such an important piece, I guess, and it took us a little while, but it didn't feel like it took a while, you know. Just like me and Yanis both, and the band and the label all like sat on it for a little while, you know what I mean, rather than just rushing it or whatever. It's nice to like watch it for a few days and then okay, that's what we should change or whatever.
Yeah, it just gives you that slight perspective on it. Just that time to get fresh
Exactly.
eyes.
Yeah.
The thing with that video is, well, the thing about it that's so important is the rhythm of it and the way that it kind of moves and the beats of it. So it does, it's quite, I imagine it's a wee bit pernickety, is it, just to get it spot on? Like if it's slightly off, it wouldn't function in the same way, or.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Just to round us up then, man, I've got one left for you. I just wonder, what moment would you say you're proudest of as a filmmaker, as a photographer, just to
What
date?
moment or what piece?
Oh, should we do both? Should we do
Yeah,
one moment and one
sure.
piece? Yeah.
I think the Falls video I'm most proud of because it's just like such an epic piece. It wasn't like necessarily like super tough to make, but I just think like I don't know. There's something about that film that's really like magnificent. I'm not trying to say that about my own work, but do you know what I mean? Just the song is so epic, and I was so lucky and fortunate to make that film, and it was like such like a wow. This is a cool piece and moment. I don't know actually, to be honest. I think like I mean everything I do. I always I'm like, this is sick that I still get to do this. You know, this is like, how are people like buying into me? I don't know. I'm not that good. I don't know. I think just like working with such big talents, I'm like so fortunate, and I do like savor those moments for sure. Like being in Kenya with Thierry Henry, it was crazy. I'm like, how has this happened? You know, what am I doing here? This is great.